True Crime Society podcast contains adult themes and violence and is not intended for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised. And if you'd like to skip the intro or move to any specific part of the podcast, please refer to the timestamps listed in the episode description. Thank you. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of True Crime Society podcast with Stephanie and Olivia. It is April 4th right now, so this is going to be our last live-ish recording before Olivia goes on her big trip. We have some episodes back recorded, all ready to go, so we're only going to be missing 1 week, so there will be one dark week coming up. Otherwise, everything should seem pretty normal to you guys. Yeah.
Watch Nancy get found as soon as I get on the plane on Friday.
No, I'll be it sounds bad to say excited. I'll be happy that everyone's finally getting closure and to find out what's happening and that they finally found Nancy. But I'll also be why when Olivia's away?
Yeah, after we've had all this time, it's just it's just the law of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll be back. We are pre-recorded bunch. We'll be back mid-May, kind of live, I guess is the terminology. Not really live because we're about a week from recording to release generally anyway, but back on proper schedule mid-May.
Yeah. Are you getting excited for your trip?
Yeah, I am getting excited. Now the weather for each of the places, the first place that we're going shows up in my app, so that's exciting. So I can see that. And I also looked up the in-flight entertainment on the plane because obviously they change every month, so it's just now April, so they've released what new movies they have for April, and the new Wicked is on there. When I say new, the second Wicked, which I still haven't seen, so that'll be good. That'll take up about 4 hours.
Yeah, I haven't either yet. True.
And there's The Housemaid, which I've seen but I really enjoyed, so I'll watch that again. And then there's another one called Eternity, which I also wanted to see. So I'm 3 movies, that's great.
Perfect.
That's probably about what I would usually watch. Then you have a sleep and you have some food, and that'll be almost it, because it's a 14-hour flight. So 3 to maybe I'll find one other movie to watch, and that will nearly get me there, hopefully.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to give a quick shout out to, in our last episode, I spoke about packing. So I did, not to get ahead of myself, a whole bunch of people wrote some really, really lovely comments. So I just pulled out their names to say thank you. So there was Chloe, Tay, Trish, JF, Sandra, and Ashley. They all had some really good tips. I think it was Chloe and Tay. They both recommended that I buy some vacuum. We call them space bags. I guess you guys probably call them
vacuum seal.
Yeah, so they're vacuum seal, but you can actually buy ones that are meant for traveling, and they come with a USB-C vacuum. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about this. So I ordered it. It's going to arrive today, which is Sunday here, and because it's a holiday weekend, we're all off tomorrow. So I said to the kids, just wait until these bags arrive and we will start packing. So I still haven't done my practice pack, but hopefully today and tomorrow I will get onto it, and that was such a good idea. So appreciative. I really, really, really think it will be super useful. And all the other people who I mentioned too gave great hints and tips. So I'll let you know how we go when we record next.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that either. I use it for storing my clothes away sometimes too.
Yeah, and because one of my daughter, the one with the dance stuff, she's like, I'm not going to fit everything because she has to take all of her dance stuff in the carry-on luggage. And I'm like, just wait for these bags. These bags are going to change our life. Don't worry about it. But 2 other, I guess, listeners of the week this week, just to get on with that. I picked out 2, and I haven't told you about this, but Andrea and Leanne. I think Andrea messaged us on Instagram, one messaged us on Spotify, and basically they both said in the last episode they were looking for their cat because they heard their cat meow, and one was in their car, I believe.
Peep was so out of control.
And they're like, then I realized it was Peep, so I just wanted to pull them out because 2 people said it, 2 of them. So they're basically the exact
I literally
same thing.
edited out a lot of it too, but I was like, I know sometimes people like to hear her and it's funny. She was so annoying that episode. She kept getting in the way. She wouldn't shut up. She's in my lap right now. She's actually been very quiet this whole time for once. So she must have gotten it out of her system, whatever was going on. But yeah.
She won't know what to do with herself.
She's just crazy.
A few weeks off.
Yeah, I know. She's going to be saving up, so she'll be loud when we come back.
And just the last things to mention are our new Patreons. So we will be having a little break from this just because our episodes will be pre-ready for the next few weeks. So keep listening. Mid-May, we'll get back into it. But Sam B, Carly, Callie, Michaela, Emily, and Kim are our new patrons this week. So thank you very, very much.
Keep joining. We'll have a big list when we come back.
And we will, as we mentioned, we are having a dark week, but we'll have, except for that week, we'll have all new Patreon episodes every single week. So if you are needing a bit more of True Crime Society, definitely check out Patreon.
Yes. Okay, so we're just going to get right into it because I am rushing before bedtime as usual. But also because we've run out of things to chat about, probably. We've recorded a few things to chat.
At least I'll have a lot to talk about when I get back. That will probably sustain me for the rest of the year. I'll be able to have a lot to speak about, hopefully.
If you like the chat, join Patreon too, because we definitely chat a bit more there. Okay, so first quick thing. We have a Neil update. Neil is the William Neil McCasland that we talked about, the Air Force Major General UFOs. So apparently, this is just coming out now. I don't know why they wouldn't have said this from the start, but his wife told a 911 dispatcher in newly released audio that she believed that he may have intentionally gone missing. Apparently, she said, "My husband is missing. It's been about 3 hours. I have some indication that he must have planned not to be found." She said, "I think he's on foot. All of our cars and bicycles are in the garage." She also noted that his phone was turned off and left behind, which she said seems kind of deliberate because he's always got his phone. She explained that her husband had never done anything remotely like that before and that he doesn't generally carry a weapon. And she noted that he'd been saying if his brain and body keep deteriorating, he doesn't want to live like that. She said, "It seemed to me that was just a, man, I hate how this is going kind of thing because I told him, yes, you do. Yes, you do." She described him as very responsible, but said he was encountering some medical issues and was seeing a doctor for anxiety, short-term memory loss, and lack of sleep. So we kind of hinted at that I feel like people who are just like highly educated, one, are more susceptible to depression. And he had such like a career with using his brain and knowing all of these things and space engineering, that it must be hard when your brain kind of starts to deteriorate a bit.
Yeah, I feel like too, sometimes people notice when it happens and sometimes people don't. Whereas he obviously did notice and was very aware of his maybe cognitive decline that was starting to occur. I feel like their reasoning for not releasing this quicker was to probably protect his privacy in case he was going to come back. They wouldn't want everyone to think, wow, he's, not capable anymore. He's kind of losing his marbles, for lack of a better term. So maybe that was their reasoning for not releasing it sooner. But I just feel like if they had have released it a bit sooner, it probably would have stopped all the not all of them, but some of the conspiracy theories. Now we know why they issued the silver alert, which we never really did issue because they said he was sharp and still, totally with it. But it seems like he was experiencing some memory loss, at least, that he knew about. So, I just feel like this information explains a lot of things that we discussed in the episode. None of it is particularly surprising to me. It's generally along the lines of what I thought. It's sad, but it does reiterate to me that I think he probably left with the intention of not coming back, exactly what his wife said. I wonder if he left a note or if she just thinks that he wasn't planning to come back because he left his phone there, which was unusual, but she seems to have had some reasoning for thinking that he didn't plan to come back.
Yeah, or maybe just other things that he said maybe made her think that.
Maybe he'd been despondent and, mentioned being depressed. And even what she said, like, if this is going to keep happening, I don't want to keep going. And she's like, yes, you do. Yes, you do. So, yeah, it's very sad. It's not totally unexpected. It's probably along the lines. And, obviously he's still missing now. We're at over a month that he's been missing. So I guess there is still a chance he's out there somewhere. But very sad. It sounds like he was lonely and despondent, and it's a sad end if that is what happened to him.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe that's what he wanted, and it was his choice. I guess that could be like the positive spin to it. Very sad,
he didn't
but
have to suffer, and
just trying to. I don't know. People are going to be like, "Wow, that's a horrible thing to say," but you know what I mean. All right, so that's all we really have for updates. We did talk about the T. Stout update on Patreon a bit, but we'll acknowledge I hear that was crazy and not something that I saw coming at all.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get into what we're talking about today.
Before we finish up, this episode is brought to you by IQ Bar, our exclusive snack, hydration, and coffee sponsor.
IQ Bar protein bars, IQ Mix hydration mixes, and IQ Joe mushroom coffees are the delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel you need to win your day. The Ultimate Sampler Pack is a great way to try all of IQ Bar's products and flavors. You get 9 IQ Bars, 8 IQ Mix sticks, and 4 IQ Joe sticks.
The other day at work, I was just doing some tidying up and I realized I still had my Ultimate Sampler Pack left with a few different items in it, and I was so excited to find them and try some things that I haven't had for a little while. I was so excited to find that I had some Vanilla Spice IQ Joe left. I had a cup at work that day and it really, really got me through, brightened up my day. IQ Joe is a mushroom coffee designed for mental clarity and packed with 200 milligrams of natural caffeine. Plus, it comes in 4 different flavors that will totally transform your morning routine. There are plenty of flavor combinations to choose from across all IQ Bar products, from mint chocolate chip protein bars to blueberry pomegranate hydration mixes to vanilla spice coffee, which is my personal favorite, and even limited edition and seasonal flavors too. With over 20,000 5-star reviews and counting, more people than ever are fueling their busy lifestyles with IQ Bar's brain and body boosting bars, hydration mixes, and mushroom coffees. Their Ultimate Sampler Pack includes all 3. Right now, IQ Bar is offering our special podcast listeners 20% off all IQ Bar products, including the Ultimate Sampler Pack, plus free shipping. So to get your 20% off, text CRIME to 64,000. Text CRIME to 64,000. That's CRIME to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details.
3 gunshots. A locked home in an affluent Texas neighborhood. A mother and her 2 daughters all found dead upstairs. Police say it was a murder-suicide, but the people who knew her best say that's impossible. So what really happened inside that house? In this episode, we're going to be discussing the deaths of Nichol Olsen, who is 37 years old, and her 2 daughters, Alexa Montez, who is 16, and London Bribiescas, who is 10 years old. The trio were found dead in the home of Nichole's boyfriend, Charlie Wheeler, on January 10th, 2019. And there's still debate to this day as to the circumstances surrounding their deaths, of course.
It appears that all 3 are deceased due to gunshot wounds to the upper parts of their body.
37-year-old hairdresser Nichol Olsen and her daughters, Alexa and London, were found shot to death inside their luxury home located in a quiet, gated San Antonio neighborhood. Police say Nichole's boyfriend, Charles Wheeler, who lived with Nichol and her daughters at his sprawling estate, reportedly spent the night out of town after an argument with Nichol. Wheeler, who owns an oil rigging business, discovered their bodies when he returned home the next morning. He is considered a person of interest, but has not been named a suspect. The violent deaths of both 16-year-old cheerleader Alexa and her 10-year-old sister London were ruled homicides by the county medical examiner, while Nichole's death was determined to be a suicide. But although a gun was recovered near Nichole's body, no suicide note was found. The ruling came as a shock to Nichole's family and friends, who insist the devoted mother would never harm her children or herself.
We know she didn't do it. It's that easy. Her girls were everything to her. She is a woman that is so strong and so fierce and would do anything to protect her girls.
Investigators aren't convinced Nichol was a suicidal killer either.
Our investigation may concur with the medical examiners, or we may find something through the course of our investigation that may change that finding altogether. And so this case is definitely far from over.
I've followed this case on I think since it's happened. It's been on our list to cover for so long. And when I was looking for one that was, this is just a lot. It's still to this day, it's discussed. And when I mentioned on our Instagram that we're going to cover it, people are like, I know this person who's involved in the case. Everyone is still talking about it. It definitely hasn't died down, I don't think, even though it's now been 6 years since these women died, these females died. It's still got a lot of internet speculation.
Yeah. All right, so we'll start with some background leading up to the crime. So Nichol Layla Olsen was born in California on May 27, 1981. Her parents are Rick and McCasland Olsen. Rick died in December 1988 when Nichol was 7 years old. According to her obituary, the family moved to Texas when Nichol was around high school age. She attended James Madison High School and was a popular student. After school, she obtained her cosmetology license and worked at salons in San Antonio. She ended up starting her own hair and jewelry business. Nicole's mother, McCarroll, passed away on December 26, 2001. Around 1997, when Nichol would have been 15, she gave birth to her first child, a son named Skylar Nobles. Skylar's father is James Nobles II. Nichol and James were married in 1998 when she was about 17 years old and got divorced a year later. According to the Houston Chronicle, Skylar lived with his father on and off through his childhood. Nicole's first daughter, Alexa Denise Montez, was born on October 8th, 2002 in Honolulu, Hawaii, and her father is Carlos Montez. And then on February 11th, 2008, her second daughter, London Sophia Bribiescas, was born. London's father is Hector Bribiescas. We don't know much about Nicole's relationships with the fathers of the children, so that's really all there is to say about that. The San Antonio Express says that Nichol was divorced twice, and Find a Grave says that London was born in San Antonio, so it appears Nichol moved between Hawaii and Texas around the time of having her children. So, I mean, it just seems like there was a lot of moving around, a lot of different people.
And 3 different families. We don't, like, obviously she was married to Skylar's dad. She was married to Skylar's dad. We don't know which of the other men that she was married to. It's not really public information, but 3 different families. Yeah, a lot of moving around.
Nichol loves spending time with her family and enjoying fun, food, and games. Alexa was a sophomore at Clark High School in the class of 2021. She loved cheerleading, animals, and her favorite color was aqua. She wanted to attend Texas A&M University and had dreams to become an obstetrician. Alexa's father, Carlos, said, "When I think about the things I'll never be able to do with her, it's hard to face." According to London's obituary, she was a 5th grade student at Leon Springs Elementary School. She loved monkeys, singing, painting, theater arts, and spending as much time as possible with her friends and family. London was and will always be an example of what pure joy and love can be in this world. The company that Nichol co-owned at the time of her death is called Kiva Cole, and the company sold watches and other jewelry. There's still an Instagram about it if you want to check it out.
Yeah, it's just like there's not much happening. There's just photos of the watches. They did have a website, which I tried to look, but it's been taken over by someone else and it's some other random thing now. So I feel like it just shows that she was a bit of an entrepreneur. She was, was dabbling in a bunch of things, beauty, cosmetology, hair, and then she had this other kind of side hustle going at the time too.
Yeah. So this info about Nichol is from the Houston Chronicle. It says, Nichol Layla Olsen took pride in her appearance. Her dark hair cascaded past her shoulders and was always meticulously styled. She wore outfits that highlighted her petite figure. She had warm brown eyes, an electric smile, and a personality that drew others to her. Her humor was contagious. Her humor was contagious. If she was particularly amused, she would crinkle her nose and tilt her head as she laughed. The 37-year-old single mother doted on her daughters, leaving work by 2:30 every day to pick them up from school. She kept an immaculate home. She worked hard as a hairstylist, double and triple booking appointments with clients at a Northside salon. She was resolutely upbeat, having survived a string of hardships in her younger years. A friend of hers named Vanessa said she loved those girls. She was incredibly proud of who they were as people. So a man named Charles Edward Charlie Wheeler came across Nichol on Instagram. We're just going to go and refer to him as Charlie because that's what it seems like he went by.
Yeah,
he
online
reached out to her.
He's mostly referred to as Charlie.
Yeah. He reached out to her and they began chatting. They met in person in the summer of 2016 at the La Cantera Resort in San Antonio. Their relationship developed quickly after meeting, and within a year they were living together in Charlie's home. The girls spent several days a week with Nichol and spent the remainder of the time with their fathers. So the house is very, very nice.
Yeah, I've got it up. It's beautiful. It's looks like a resort almost. It's got a resort pool, style pool with like a hot tub. It's beautiful. It's a stunning, stunning house.
Yeah, the listing says the house is the perfect blend of contemporary, modern, and rustic elegance. Superior craftsmanship is evidenced by every detail inside and out, with a thoughtful flow that lends itself to entertaining as well as comfort. Inside the gated front entry is an exquisite courtyard complete with walk-in pool and spa, outdoor kitchen, waterfall, and elegant lighting so you can enjoy it day or night. Situated on 2.7 manicured acres, this home is in the highly desirable Anaqua Springs Ranch. So Charlie is an entrepreneur who used his winnings from being a former professional rodeo competitor, to start his company, which made security gates. He sold that company when he was 24 years old. He later started an oil field services business, and by 2019, when he was 31, he owned the home over $1 million in Anaqua Springs. He was said to be an avid hunter, and he owned both a Range Rover and a Maserati, so he seemed to be very successful.
Yeah, like 31 owning, obviously, yeah. I know the housing prices are insane, but still, it seems like he was very successful.
Yeah. So the relationship between Nichol and Charlie was said to be somewhat tumultuous. According to San Antonio Express News, in May 2017, Nichol showed up for a business photo shoot with a bruised eye. She began putting makeup on to try to conceal the bruise. Nichol told a friend at the time that she and Charlie had argued, but that she didn't want to get into detail.
Also, you have to remember too that they only met on Instagram in the summer of 2016. So this was less than a year into their relationship.
Yeah, they got serious very quickly.
Yeah.
Another friend said that in 2017, she took Nichol in one weekend after she and Charlie had a fight. They'd been at a Galveston hotel celebrating their first anniversary when he had left her stranded without any belongings. There was an incident in January 2018 where Nichol and a friend were on their way to a Spurs game. Charlie called Nichole's phone and asked to speak with her friend. This made Nichol feel controlled and humiliated. They went to a club after the game, and Charlie allegedly kept calling Nichol and telling her to come home. Another friend said during a visit to Charlie's home, he and Nichol would fight over little things, such as a dropped pepperoni on the floor. In December 2018, Nichol was allegedly looking for a new home. She toured an apartment at the Grand at the Dominion. The building's managers would send Nichol an email right around the time she died asking how her apartment search was going. Said, I have a 3-bedroom Fredericksburg floor plan available that you loved for your move-in time frame.
So just based on the wording of that email, obviously it seems like she said to that person, I want to move in. This is the floor plan I want. I'm thinking I will move in early in the new year, maybe. So it does seem like she was making some pretty concrete plans, or wanted to make concrete plans to move into her own place anyway.
Yeah. The day that Nichol and her daughters died was Thursday, January 10th, 2019. Charlie has given his version of events of the time around their deaths. Charlie said that he and Nichol argued the night before and that he left the home and spent the evening at a family member's home. He said he left the home around 10 p.m.
As in his own home. Sorry, that's it. Just to clarify, he left his own home at around 10 p.m. to go to the other family member's house.
In the evening of January 9th, 2019, 4 separate 911 calls were made from Nichol's phone. Each of these calls failed to stay connected long enough to get through to a dispatcher. The calls were reportedly made at 11:10, 2 calls at 11:11, and 1 call at 11:12. A 911 operator attempted to call Nichol back but was unable to reach her. No emergency response was dispatched as information and evidence of an emergency was not able to be confirmed.
Yeah,
I feel like maybe they just didn't have the address so they couldn't go, but I'm like, if they had the address, they should have probably went.
Yeah, 4 times. I don't know. I know often sometimes here especially because our number's 000, so sometimes that's an accidental thing that happens. But yeah, 4 calls I agree in 2 minutes is maybe should have been looked into, but anyway.
Yeah, but maybe they just didn't have the address. I don't know. Charlie said that he returned home around 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. and he went upstairs to check on Nichol and the kids, and he said that he found them unresponsive. At 8:40 a.m., Charlie called 911. The calls have never been fully released, but according to media reports, Charlie described finding Nichol and her daughters, and he said he was the last adult in the house. A handgun was found near Nichol, and the 3 had obvious gunshot wounds. Charlie told dispatchers that Nichol may have taken her own life. Bexar County deputies arrived at the home quickly, reportedly between 8:50 and 9:15 a.m. When they arrived, Charlie was said to be in the front yard crying on the ground. There was no sign of forced entry, and the females were said to be cold and rigid to touch. Do you want to go over this?
Yeah, so I did look up just to kind of see if I could get a better idea of the timeline. As they said they were cold and rigid, I looked up how long it would take for someone to become cold and rigid after death. It usually happens 2 to 6 hours after death. and they will be in full rigor by 12 hours after death. And then, as we know, it begins to fade around 24 to 48 hours. And in terms of being cool to touch, this is usually noticeable within 1 to 3 hours, depending on the environment. Obviously, this was winter. I'm guessing the house probably had some type of heating though, but 1 to 3 hours, depending on the environment. It says between 1 to 3 hours, it'd be beginning to cool. There'd be some stiffness in small muscles. Within 2 to 6 hours, rigor mortis sets in, and full rigor mortis by 12 hours. So, that does indicate to me if he's calling 911 at 8:40 a.m., that probably indicates they had been dead for at least 6 hours, I would think at that point, maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah. Deputies found a large amount of smeared blood on the floor and some on the walls, as well as a small pool of blood in a bathroom doorway.
Before we continue on with the episode, we're going to hear a word from our sponsor, Noom. I know that sometimes it can be so hard to know where to start if you want to lose weight. Do you exercise more? Should you change your eating habits? Are there other things that you should be looking at? If you decide that you want to start GLP-1 medication, Noom is the easy way to go about it. We've all heard of GLP-1 weight loss drugs and the side effects that can occur, which I understand is a big concern for many people. But Noom's microdose GLP-1 program takes a different approach. Noom starts you on a smaller dose and then you gradually scale up depending on how your body reacts. But that doesn't mean you still don't lose weight. In fact, Noom found users lose on average 8 pounds in 30 days on their microdose protocol. But what good is losing all that weight if you can't make the results stick? And that's why Noom pairs their microdose GLP-1s with behavior change and coaching so that you can learn healthy habits and make the results stick. The Noom GLP-1 microdose program starts at $79 and it is delivered to your door in 7 days. Start your microdose GLP-1 journey today at Noom.com. That's Noom.com. Noom, micro changes, big results. Noom, the easy way to start a GLP-1 medication.
Disclaimers. Initial 3-week subscription and 4 weeks of medication from $79 plus tax and $199 per month plus tax for 12-week subscription thereafter. Final pricing depends on program selection. Noom GLP-1RX program involves healthy diet, exercise, and support. Individual results may vary. Meds and personalization based on clinical need, not reviewed by FDA for safety, efficacy, or quality. No affiliation with Novo Nordisk, Inc., the only U.S. source of FDA-approved semaglutide, not available in all 50 U.S. states. Results are based on an analysis of self-reported data from 1,254 engaged Noom users. The sheriff said, "I can tell you that there's a high probability that one of the victims in this case, at least, was not initially killed as a result of the gunshot. That victim moved around a bit during the course of this time and unfortunately left blood evidence behind," which is horrible because it has to be one of the kids, I'd imagine.
Well, you would think so. I guess it could be Nichol, but they haven't really.
Depending on what you believe.
If anyone has seen it confirmed, let me know, but I couldn't find it anywhere which of the people it was. Maybe I don't know. I would think it would be one of the kids too.
Yeah. Gate camera footage was found and that showed Charlie's truck passing through the neighborhood. The driver couldn't be clearly seen though. The sheriff was asked, "Could you see the face of the person?" And he responded, "The only video that we're aware of is the video that was at the guard gate. We were able to see a vehicle leaving." So that was a very roundabout way of saying no.
Yeah.
The Bexar County Medical Examiner conducted autopsies on Nichol, Alexa, in London. Nichole's death was ruled as a suicide by gunshot, and the children's deaths were ruled as homicide by gunshot. The full autopsy reports, including detailed findings, bullet trajectories, toxicology results, and internal examination details, have not been released to the public.
I find that interesting because Texas is generally a very open state. Like, I've read a lot of autopsy reports and crime scene reports and all that type of stuff. I know this investigation is still going, but it is interesting to me that they haven't made any of that public. Even the 911 calls, you would think that would be public by now, but it's not. So obviously they're not finished with this case yet. So police began interviewing Charlie as well as neighbours and family. Charlie was named as a person of interest in the case, but just to clarify, he's never been named as a suspect, just a person of interest. Charlie's attorney urged people to not jump to conclusions. Mark Stevens, the attorney, said, "And respect the privacy of presumptively innocent people and of Charlie Wheeler, who did not commit a crime here." In late January 2019, it was announced that the FBI were joining the investigation. Bexar County Sheriff Salazar said, "We are proud of the exceptional investigative work done by the BCSO Criminal Investigations Division to now, and we are excited to count on the FBI's expertise and resources moving forward." He went on to say, What was that?
I said, how positive.
Yeah, excited. "We owe it to Nichol, Alexa, and London and their families to find the truth through meticulous investigation. It's always better to have more tools at our disposal and more eyes on any case." So Nichole's friends and family did speak to the media, and they have said that they do not believe Nichol was capable of carrying out a murder-suicide. Her friend Christine, who was a friend of Nichole's for 17 years, said, "Nichol, she's a beautiful person. I can't believe we're here. I was sick to my stomach coming here today, but I had to be here for her and the girls." In April 2019, so a few months after the murders, Nichole's son Skylar spoke to the media. He said, "It's honestly been really hard. I wake up every day thinking I'm going to see them and I'm not able to. I just really want to know what happened that night." He went on to say, "It's honestly just devastating. I just want some more closure. All I need is some closure." He said, "I feel like it was my time. I feel like I had to put out a statement about what I've been feeling and what I've been going through. It's tough, but I have to keep going and do it for them." He went on to say, "Just keep searching, please." So in June of 2019, the house was listed for sale for $975,000 and it sold the next month in July of 2019. Charlie was arrested in Austin, Texas in November of 2020 for DWI following a traffic accident. He was taken into custody and charged. We are telling this story chronologically, but I just want to jump ahead because in 2021, the charge was dismissed by prosecutors. A lot of people do ask if he does have any criminal history. This seems to be it. There are a lot of rumors about other things which we'll get into, but that seems to be generally his only actual criminal incident.
Mm-hmm.
So in November of 2020, which was almost 2 years after Nichol and the girls died, Bexar County Sheriff Salazar said that his office's investigation would soon be complete. So that sounds pretty promising at the time, you know. Sounds like they are getting there. They're ready to make a ruling, apparently. Sheriff Salazar said that after combing through cell phone records, GPS records, surveillance, and forensics, that investigators had not found anything leading them to believe that the case was a homicide. He went on to say, "Nothing that I've seen to this point in the case would lead me to refute or try to overturn the medical examiner's ruling of suicide and murder in this case." He also spoke about why the investigation had taken so long, as I mentioned, almost 2 years at that point. He said, "The last thing that we wanted to do was prolong this for anyone. But as I mentioned before, I did not feel comfortable closing the case with one piece of evidence if another 5 or 6 pieces of evidence were within our reach." So the sheriff said he wanted the final report in the case completed by December 31st of 2020. Despite this, then, in January of 2021, the sheriff described the case as incomplete during a press conference. He went on to say, "There were some stones left unturned, and I'll leave it at that." He said, "I'm not going to let this case be finalised until I'm confident that's going to withstand the scrutiny that it will be put under." He went on to say, "Murdering your own children is about the worst thing that anyone can be accused of, and I'm not ready to accuse Nichol of that. I'm just not. I'm not ready to go there yet, and nobody can rush me to do that." He went on to say that they were passing the case to a cold case team of investigators, and he went on to say these investigators are able to look at the case with a little bit more of a 30,000-foot view and give us some unique perspectives on it. They issued a statement and it says, "The sheriff's office decision to continue the investigation is a prudent one, as there continues to be many questions and possible discrepancies in the case." Nichole's friend Vanessa said, "As long as those questions remain, Nichol and her beautiful daughters deserve a thorough, detailed investigation for however long that may take." So interesting that he kind of backflipped. He said basically end of December 2020 it was going to be finalised, and then just a week later, January 7th, 2021, he said, "No, it's incomplete," and there were stones left unturned, which is pretty wild to me. Like, what did he not know about after these 2 years?
I know, and they don't ever say, so it's like, what?
Yeah, they've been super closed-lipped in this investigation with what they release and what we know. There's just not a whole lot of confirmed information. In 2021, the fathers of London and Alexa filed separate wrongful death lawsuits against Charlie, and they claimed that he was negligent in their deaths. London's father, Hector, alleges that after a lengthy argument with Nichol, in which she was allegedly exhibiting, quote, increasingly erratic behaviour, Charlie left the house knowing he'd left an unsecured gun in his bedside table. Charlie's criminal defence attorney, Therese Hunsinger, said Charlie was crushed by the deaths, and she went on to say Charlie has no responsibility, either criminally or civilly, in this matter. It's preposterous. So these cases ended up being dismissed/dropped. No damages were awarded, and there was no admission of wrongdoing by Charlie. In 2022, the families of Alexa and London pushed for the Texas Attorney General to appoint the Texas Rangers to investigate the case. London's family the attorney for London's family, named Joseph Holscher, said Sheriff Salazar has inflicted more pain on the family than anyone else other than whoever it was who killed their daughters. The families said in 2022 that they hadn't heard anything from the sheriff's office since 2020, which is wild to me. 2 years with no update, if that is true from the sheriff's office. The case isn't closed. This case is still going. Where's the updates? London's aunt, Emma Sumners, said, I don't think we've ever been able just to call him up and talk to him. It's always been we've had to go through the media and create a storm to get his attention. Joseph Holscher said, he's gone so far as to attack my client and myself personally, claiming that we're money hungry. We believed, based on all of our interactions with Salazar and the sheriff's office, that they're intentionally withholding an outcome in this investigation to punish the family. The family wrote a letter to the Texas Attorney General, Ken Paxton, where they asked for the Texas Rangers to investigate the case. The sheriff's office issued this statement at the time, kind of in response to that letter. It says, we've not seen the letter submitted by the family to the Attorney General's office. This case remains ongoing with the Bexar County Sheriff's Office. Additionally, there are pending items the investigator assigned to this case has had difficulty obtaining through attempts with the retained attorney, including difficulty making contact with Mr. Holscher. The assigned investigator will continue to devote his efforts until every facet of this investigation has been completed in order to provide closure for the families. So there's a lot of back and forth in this case. The family aren't happy with the sheriff. After that was 2022, so years and years after the deaths, it just seems like there's a lot of discord between the sheriff and the family and what they believe is being done and what should be done. Just a lot of tension there.
I'm torn because it does seem like he's really putting in the effort to make sure this is correct, but it's also been dragging on for so long now.
Well, and not just a spoiler alert, not really, but we're now at 2026. This case still isn't closed. So this was back then, 2020, 21, 22. The sheriff is saying it's going to be complete soon. It's still not complete. So I agree. What are they waiting for? What else could they possibly be testing or waiting for? It just seems like they surely by now. And it's not like this case happened that long ago. It was only 2019. So the technology, maybe is a little bit more advanced now, but they would have had cell phone records, CCTV, all of that. It's not like that would have been new to the investigation. It had to be tested. That should have all been done.
Mm-hmm.
In 2024, the sheriff indicated that there may never be full closure in the case. He said, there's still some things in the case that stick with me and stick out like a sore thumb to the point where I don't know we'll ever be able to say case closed, we're done. He said, it's a tragedy that's going to bug me for the rest of my days, and maybe I may never get answers to some of these questions, but the evidence points to a certain thing and I can't refute it at this point. The sheriff did say that Charlie was still a person of interest. As we mentioned, he's not a suspect. He's never been charged. The sheriff said there are other people of interest that have been found through texts and other communications, but these people have never been named officially publicly. You may be able to find their names online, but never ever been named by the sheriff. Charlie has never spoken publicly about the case. His attorneys have said that he had nothing to do with the deaths, and he is said to have been cooperative with investigators. After all of this happened, he moved to Austin, where it's said he now lives and works. Nicole's brother Justin said, it's crazy for anyone to think that she would kill her daughters. She was making plans for the future and she was enrolling London in singing classes and was expecting a visit from her son that weekend. I don't know. We've spoken in the past, often I don't know what happened in this case. If the family believed that she was acting erratically and they tried to sue Charlie for leaving a gun when he knew that she was acting erratically, that does indicate to me that they knew there was maybe some mental health issues going on with Nichol or some type of crisis going on with her. It's like doesn't sound like they thought this was totally out of the blue. That almost sounds like it was an incident where she took advantage of the gun being left unsecured and acted on it. I just don't think that, making plans for the future and having a visit from her son would stop her from taking the lives of her children and herself if that's what she planned to do. Maybe she was just so desperate. Maybe her and Charlie had been fighting. Maybe he wanted her out of the house. That's why she had to leave. Going from this kind of lavish lifestyle of living in this mansion to trying to find an apartment with your children. There was a lot of family dynamics at play here too. Obviously, 3 different families, 3 children that she had. I just feel like this could have been just the straw that broke the camel's back, and maybe that's why she felt she had no other choice, if that is what happened.
Yeah, and that's the problem with guns in general, and why I'm an advocate for gun control, because it's just like, it doesn't give you time to think. Like if she acted on impulse with the gun and shot the kids on impulse, that's it.
Yeah.
Like if it was another motive or way of killing them, you could kind of panic and like change your mind or like stop. But once you shoot someone, especially a kid, generally
there's
that's
no
it.
Going back. Yeah. And like I was just thinking about Lindsay Clancy as you said it. She, I don't want to get into too graphic details, but she basically strangled her children with exercise bands. So that would be something that you could stop. Like if you started to do that, you could stop and the child would be fine. Whereas a gun, that's it. That's it. So in terms of theories in this case, as we mentioned, the sheriff has said that maybe this case will never be closed. There's so much speculation still to this day and discussion about it online. The main theories I found is that this was truly a murder-suicide. As we mentioned, Nichol was said to be acting erratically. The family were angry that she'd been left alone with the gun. It seems like she was maybe trying to move out of the house that she shared with Charlie. Maybe she was under financial pressure. Could have been anything along those lines. Before we carry on with the episode, we're going to hear a word from our sponsor, NoCD. Have you ever had an unwanted thought really get stuck in your head, like in a way that felt deeper than being unsettled by it? Maybe you got caught in a spiral of endless what-if scenarios, you couldn't stop picturing disturbing mental images, or kept questioning yourself and wondering things like, could I ever be capable of doing something terrible? Here's the thing, almost everyone has thoughts like that. They may just not talk about them because they can be violent, frightening, or taboo. But if those thoughts are feeling stuck in your mind or it's causing a lot of distress and maybe a sign of obsessive-compulsive disorder or OCD, OCD latches onto these thoughts and can make you feel like a monster, even though that isn't true. But that's what makes OCD so debilitating. The thoughts and fears can feel so real that it keeps people suffering in silence. Plus, not every therapist understands OCD or is qualified to treat it effectively, which can make it difficult to reach out for help. So instead, people seek relief through certain mental or physical actions, even though they never seem to help in the long run.
You know what does help when you're struggling with OCD? Specialized therapy. That's why we want to tell you about NoCD. With NoCD, you can do virtual therapy designed specifically for OCD. Their licensed therapists understand even the most taboo or hard to talk about symptoms, and most importantly, they know how to help. Every NoCD therapist is trained in exposure and response prevention, or ERP, a type of specialized therapy that's the most proven treatment for OCD. NoCD also accepts many major insurance plans, including United Healthcare, Aetna, Cigna, and more, making life-changing treatment accessible and affordable. And they provide always-on support between your therapy sessions so you're never alone. If you think you might be struggling with OCD, please don't wait. Go to nocd.com to schedule a free 15-minute call with their team and find out more about how they can help. That's nocd.com to learn more and book a free 15-minute call.
And I guess the other 2 theories, obviously, then if Nichol wasn't the perpetrator, that this was murder. So either murder by Charlie, which he has been named a person of interest, not a suspect, just to make that clear, or that it was murder by someone else. So I have so many questions about this case. The sheriff has said there are other persons of interest based on her communications. So what were her final communications on that night? Her phone records and info about it have never been made public that we can find. So was she texting someone else? Was she maybe in a relationship with someone else and that's why she wanted to leave? Did something happen with that relationship and she'd kind of put all her eggs in one basket? Like, I don't know. This is just all speculation, but all things that I could see being a possibility. I wondered if there was any CCTV at Charlie's house. Never been discussed publicly if there was. The sheriff has mentioned that they only saw the footage of him or someone driving past the gate. So that leads me to believe that maybe there was no CCTV, which seems weird for such kind of a lavish house. But I guess 2019 is a few years ago now, so maybe not.
I mean, I just feel like if it I lean more towards it was a murder-suicide, and kind of just seems like it was what it was. They got in a fight and she just made that kind of like impulse decision. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it was something with Charlie involved, considering his truck was seen there. So I wouldn't really be surprised either way.
Yeah. The thing that we haven't mentioned too is the 4 911 calls. So who was making those calls? Was there some type of fight?
Could have been a kid.
Maybe is it also with the blood on the wall? Maybe it was the child trying to call 911 and they were just unable to do it because of the injuries. Like that could be an explanation for it. But I do feel like probably whatever happened at around the time that those 911 calls were made, and someone did try to call for help and wasn't able to for some reason.
Yeah.
I know that Nicole's family and friends are very, very adamant that this wasn't a murder-suicide. I did find this post, like a comment online, which I've pulled just for discussion because I thought it was quite interesting because it does support the fact that this person doesn't believe Nichol was responsible. Their first point was, since firearms became prevalent, how often have women shot their children? Can we admit it's quite rare? And I actually totally disagree with that. We've spoken about so many mums who murder cases where the wife will shoot the child or the family because it is a very quick way. And as you mentioned, the access to guns means that if they do have access, it can be a very impulsive thing often. So I don't think that just because the method of their deaths or they died by gunshot that indicates Nichol didn't do it. I absolutely disagree with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Someone said, can we also admit that we are not aware of any trauma in Nicole's life that would make such an act seem likely? But we have seen in many, many cases. Why would we be? And why would we be aware of it? But also, things just happen. There's a build up to things and something snaps. And like I mentioned, the straw that broke the camel's back. So we don't know. We don't know what was going on in her life. We don't know the details of her relationship with Charlie. It does seem like something was happening for her to want to end the relationship, whether it's from his side or her side. We don't know. Maybe she just felt so despondent and desperate that she, had no other way out. Maybe that could be an explanation for it. A lot of people do discuss online that Charlie apparently had a history of domestic abuse and violence. We did mention his incidents with Nichol where she maybe had a bruise. Nothing has been confirmed. There aren't any domestic violence charges against him that we can find. It's just the allegations that maybe he was abusive and controlling towards Nichol based on what her friends and family have said. So I'm not I don't know what happened in their relationship. If she was bruised, that maybe does indicate there was some type of argument, but there's nothing official that has been confirmed about Charlie being, involved in situations like that. People also talk about how Charlie apparently hired 3 lawyers pretty immediately and didn't speak to anyone, which I also don't think is unreasonable to expect. Someone who has a lot of money. He has the money to do so. He was being blamed and looked at as a person of interest very early on in the case. So if I was in the same situation, I would also probably lawyer up. I don't think that is an indication of his guilt in this case. But saying that, I don't know what happened. For the sheriff to not want to close the case indicates to me too that there is enough doubt that maybe Nichol didn't do this. So I wouldn't really be shocked either way if we find out that it was a murder by someone, not naming any names, but if it was a murder by someone for some reason, or if she did it. I feel like either seems equally as likely to me.
Yeah, I totally agree. I could see either way, and I agree that like the sheriff, there must be something for the sheriff to like just not want to close the case, which makes me wonder what it could be. And like Charlie's truck was seen there, so it's still it's a mystery, I guess, for now.
So now we are at like 2026. So we're at 7 years since this happened. The sheriff hasn't closed it, whether or not he ever will. It does kind of remind me a little bit of Ellen Greenberg because there was all that. When I said, like, it doesn't remind me of that, but I was thinking about the case because back and forth, there's been so many arguments about if her death was suicide, and all the investigators and kind of reopening into the case has always confirmed that it was a suicide. I know people still don't believe that. Whereas in this case, the sheriff will not confirm what the medical examiner is saying, that the medical examiner is saying this was a murder-suicide. Nichol, killed the children and killed herself, but the sheriff isn't confirming that he totally agrees with that.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, there is still a ton of discussion on this. Reddit is a good place to go and read about this. If we get any comments from Nicole's family and friends about this case, we will share them on our Instagram stories. I really, really don't know. If the sheriff doubled down and said that he believed it was a murder-suicide, I would think more so case closed. But the fact that he just seems still so uncertain after 7 years leads me to believe there is enough doubt that maybe it was something else.
Yeah, I agree. But that is it for this episode. I'll be interested to hear what everyone else thinks, or point out any other things that you think or point out any other things that make you lean a certain way. I'd like to hear. So let us know in like the Spotify comments or on Instagram. Make sure you're following us on Instagram at True Crime Society. We're always posting news updates and things there. Everything will be on the blog as always at truecrimesocietyblog.com. My Instagram is StephSum_ if you want to. My Instagram is StephSum_ Olivia's TCS Olivia. If you want to follow us and see what we're up to, you can find us over there. Make sure you check out our Patreon. We do weekly bonus episodes. All the episodes are ad-free, and we do earlier release on the main episodes. So if you want more content from us, check us out there. And if you could share to your Instagram stories, share that you're listening to the podcast, what you're doing while you're listening to the podcast. We love to see what everyone is up to while they're listening, and we love resharing them. That is basically it. You guys know what to do. So thank you guys for listening. Stay safe out there. Peace out.
See ya.